Okay, well, hey neighbors, welcome to the shed shop. In this edition of Will It Be Redeemed? I'm here with neighbor Andy's Husqvarna 288XP. This saw has been in my shop longer than any other saw. If it cuts right and everything goes well, stay tuned to the end because I'm going to merge this with an interview of Andy, the owner of this saw, and why the saw is so important to him. He received it from a family member, and it was his father-in-law. You would think it was his father based on the importance of the saw to him and the story that he tells about the saw and why it matters to him so much. Andy brought it to me initially because the gas tank was all broken from him trying to start it, pulling on the cord. It didn't have a decom valve, and he tells me, and he'll tell you in the story, I think, his father-in-law used to loosen the spark plug and start the saw up, and then when the saw was started, he would use a crescent wrench to tighten the spark plug back up. That's the only way he ever could start it, I guess. So I replaced the gas tank, we rebuilt the carb, it needed a new fuel line, pickup body, a few other things. I never pulled the top end. I inspected it with a camera, everything looked good. However, when I returned the saw to Andy and was there to get the interview and everything, we had a little bit of an argument because of the situation of, long story, can't really explain it all in a short time, but nonetheless, we hugged it out in the end. And when I went to go cut with the saw, it just was doing all kinds of weird stuff. And so I brought the saw home. Andy and I decided we'd just go ahead and go through it all the way, take the top end out, just wash all the parts. And so that's what I did. And I did a base gasket delete for him. We put a new piston ring on, and then the saw had no spark out of nowhere. So I ordered a China coil, and last night I actually, wearing my back brace because last night I threw my back out just trying to test this thing for spark, trying to eliminate, because I put that China coil on and no spark. And so I tried a different switch, and all of a sudden the saw started in one pull with my spark tester hooked up. So I shut the saw off, and then I said, I wonder if this coil is actually good. So I took the aftermarket, the first part of the coil off back here by the carb, and I put the OEM one on, and no spark. And I said, okay. So I put the aftermarket, I think it's a relay or something, aftermarket part of the coil on, and put the OEM iron back on over here by the flywheel, and no spark. And so somehow our switch and both parts of our ignition coil went bad. All our wiring is good. The whole jacket of the wiring is still there. And so I don't know quite what caused it to go bad, but the saw is running, and I literally just threw a tack on it a few minutes ago because I can't find my long screwdriver that works for this, and a short carb adjustment screwdriver will not reach the low end, and it's really difficult to get it on the high end, especially for me because he's got no grommet on here. And so with the way this saw vibrates, it's hard to get those screws on. So I just put it on a tack and got it close. Maybe not perfect, but I'm hoping it's pretty close. And if we have to do any more fine tuning, the great thing is Andy literally lives right around the corner. So once he's cut with the saw for a lot longer than I'm about to cut with it, we'll see how it's tuned in for him with the weather changes and whatnot. And he needs me to tune his carburetors anyways if they get out of tune. So he'll just give me a buzz, and I'll run right around the corner and tune the saw for him. So I just want to make sure it's going to cut okay. I'm just going to do 1 or 2 cuts, honestly, because I'm hurting real bad. This is a Haas, and I kind of bit myself in the ass because I let Andy go ahead and pay his bill. I didn't want to, but I did actually need money at the time. I didn't need, I wasn't hurting and drowning like I am now, but I didn't think there was going to be any more cost to the saw. I really figured at most it's a piston ring, and I don't mind, Andy might pay for these parts, he might not, but I'm not going to ask him to. Because I told him we'd go ahead and do the redemption package on it at no additional charge. I gave him a really low labor rate. I tend to feel bad for my neighbors, and I screw myself over a lot, and I got to stop doing it. I know I do. It's kind of like neighbor Hayes MS291. I just tried cutting with that. It has idled through an entire tank. I never remove piston or cylinder transfer anymore. Piston transfer onto the cylinder, I just don't waste my time with it anymore. It takes a lot of time. You can do it if it was like a project for me, or I was like just bored and all caught up, and I was like, well, I can do this to this saw. and just sell it super, super cheap. But neighbor Hayes, I was trying to save him some money. I could not find an aftermarket cylinder for the 291, not even a Chino one on Amazon. And buying an OEM one makes the build not worth it. If I can get them a Meteor piston or a Meteor cylinder kit, a lot of times I do keep my labor low enough to where, since they're buying the parts from me as well on certain stuff, if it's a Meteor piston kit or cylinder kit I can get from Meteor directly, sometimes it makes it worth it for my neighbors to rebuild their saw. And now I feel really bad because the guy put a $200 parts deposit down, and he's got additional labor and stuff, and I'm like, well, damn, but I did explain to him this might not work, and explain to him the cost of the other way, and he wanted to go ahead and try it. And so I feel bad for him, but at the same time, it's like I did explain the potential outcomes. And the problem right now is I can only turn the saw up to 11,000 RPM, and it's got those damn restrictors that I don't know how to remove. I know how to remove the red ones, the white ones, and the black ones, but on the 271s, the 291s, the 311s, I don't know how to remove those, and I can't find a video. I have a theory of how to remove them because I had a broken carburetor from one of those saws, and I just went ahead and cut it since it was already broken, and do see that the restrictors can be removed, but it's not simple, some specialty tool that you screw in or a wood screw that you screw in to pop those restrictors out. It doesn't work that way on these ones. And so I'm going to practice on my broken carburetors on the other jet, or on the other jet that's not, the housing isn't cut away from. Go get some new drill bits, and I'm going to try that on my carbs, and if it works, I'm going to do that on his carb. But the thing is, it's like, what caused his saw to be roached in the first place? He has said he's always had an issue with trying to get that saw fine-tuned since the day he's had it, and it's the damn EPA restrictions. So nonetheless, neighbors, I got to go live in about 30 minutes. I'm going to be building Jonathan Luna's 025 live, and by the time you see this video, you will have definitely seen that live first. So we're going to go ahead and do our cold start here, full choke, lock our trigger, and we're going to start this the GIMP style, even with a decom valve. This is how he broke his tank before, trying to start it this way, standing on the damn thing, and I threw my back out starting it this way, actually. And the sad thing is, I might not need to. I might have just flooded it, because it hasn't been off that long. Of course. Yeah, you see, guys, I go to do the video, and this is what happens. This is my life. Unbelievable. Just unbelievable. Yeah, she's flooded all right. She's flooded all right. Damn. Cannot believe this, you guys. What now? This is just my life. See, it just, you guys, this is why I'm not in a good mood anymore. This is everything that happens to me all day long. Half an hour ago, I had this saw running just fine. Just fine for 15 minutes, running it, idling it, everything. And now it won't start, and I've probably flooded it out. Or maybe I knocked my freaking coil off the thing. I don't know, damn it. Definitely not tuned in right now. definitely should have my earmuffs on. I did gut this muffler. They come pretty much gutted, but I opened it up even more. Yeah, she's idling okay. As soon as I say that, go figure. Yeah, go figure. Probably got to lean the load jet out a little bit. Trying to see if it's loading up or starving. It's loading up. And then we'll take this all to Andy. So I will stay tuned to the end of this video, which is the beginning of the next clip, you guys. But I'll say now, be kind to one another. Everyone's facing a battle. I know somehow Andy's video got erased from my phone and I can't find my GoPro, but I believe I can get it off of Google Photos. So you should be seeing that next. Love you, neighbors. Welcome to the shed shop, neighbor Andy's yard. This is Granddaddy Hoss. If you're new to the channel, take a moment, subscribe to the channel, like this video, and as you watch it, comment whatever you want. Just be nice. That's it. That's the only rule. This is Andy's 288 XP, and he brought this to me. Boy, when did you bring this to me? It's been a while.
Yeah, I brought it back
last year.
Yeah, about this time last year, actually.
It was later than that. I wasn't
well,
here in
yeah.
July.
Well, that's true. Yeah. No, I'm gonna say
it's probably October,
fall.
wasn't it?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
October, and we're in August now. And he brought it by. The tank head broke because this is a big beast and it didn't have a decom valve. We put one in, but he was told before that this couldn't have a decom valve put in, and he was lied to. So we made it right for him. And then we spent $170 on a rear tank for him.
Yeah.
And so Andy is I went ahead and took the money I made from this and we put it into a pot to help people that might not be able to afford to have their stuff fixed up, and they need to cut firewood and stuff. And so that's what we donated that money to. But I didn't know at the time that there's actually a story attached to this saw, and I wanted to get it directly from Andy. He told me a little bit about it, and I was like, wow, because when I brought the saw over to Andy's house, he's really busy. He's kind of like me, a one-man rodeo, running his truck business. And we had a little tiff, but basically, once we were able to just understand each other's point of view, everything was great. Granddaddy Hoss was choking when I tried to tune it in. And so I said, you know what, Andy? I didn't know this saw was so important to you. We never removed his top end or anything. We just replaced a bunch of stuff, and it took us forever to compile all the parts. But basically, I said, I want to go all the way through it. I want to remove your top end. I want to check your ring gap and everything, and no additional charge. And Andy said, okay, let's do it. And so that's where we're at. We got his 391. You guys have seen his name on the top of my whiteboard in the shed shop for months and months and months and months and months. His 391 was finally done, and I've lost the muffler gasket to it, and it will leak without one. So I don't want to blow it up, so we'll take care of that. But basically, Andy's going to tell you the story here. I might ask some questions, but he's going to tell you who the saw belongs to and why it's important to him, because the person was important to him. So Andy, can you tell us about your 288? And it was your father-in-law, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Can you tell us about your father-in-law and why this saw is important?
It was my father-in-law's, and he had.
I know you're quiet, Andy, but they got to hear you. You got to speak up.
It was my father-in-law's. When he was young, he lived up in New Jersey.
Oh, where I'm from.
Yeah, right. And he had got into some trouble up there. He just got out of the Army, got into some trouble, and a judge up there told him that he had to leave New Jersey up there. So he had some folks that lived right here in this area, and he moved down, met my mother-in-law, and they literally, everything that's on this place right here, they built from scratch. Which, my father-in-law was a big guy. I mean, I'm not joking, he was a monster. I don't know if I showed you
beefy
pictures.
big?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I have not seen pictures of him.
Yeah. But he was a really big guy, and but he had this thing about him. He wanted just everything that he done. He wanted the best of it. As far as tools go, he wanted the best of it. And he had all the old big home lights that weighed like 30 pounds a piece, but they really didn't bother him. And but he started getting a little older, had a heart attack, and he decided, okay, I'm going to have to find me something a little better, you know, a little lighter. Which I don't know that he didn't jump out of the frying pan into the fire with this thing, but he found it.
Certainly not light.
Right, he found it.
What are y'all doing?
We are interviewing him about his saw.
Yeah, but he bought this saw right here, and it didn't have decomp, but he was, for a long time, he was big enough that he could actually pull it. But he was about the only one. He'd have to stand on the back of it to pull it.
Right.
You know, and then after so long, he got to where even he couldn't pull it. He would have to take and loosen up the spark plug to start it.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah.
That's right.
And then after he loosened up the spark plug to start it, then he would turn it off and screw it back down tight, and one pull it would start.
Right.
Every time he had to do that every time.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and but he loved that saw. He built his own bar sheath and everything that went on it. It's in the shop in there somewhere out of wood, and he built it. He shellacked it.
For the
yeah,
talking about the scabbard.
Yeah, the scabbard.
Wow, he built a wood one.
Yeah. And
Wow.
I mean, yeah, it's in
You
the
gotta
shop
show me
somewhere.
that. Okay. We'll have to look at that.
But
quality.
this thing was his pride and joy, no joke. And my father-in-law, God love him, that man, he was a good-hearted person, and I just know that he wouldn't let nobody else touch that saw but me. I was the only other person that he would let run it. And before he died, he told everybody, he said, nope, I don't want that saw to be handed to nobody but Andy, because he's the only one that understands it. And I always appreciated that he thought that much of me, because I mean, like I said, it was his pride and joy. He got rid of all the old Homalites to keep that one out there. And when me and him met, when me and his daughter got married and everything, the 271 that I told you.
Right, yeah, that's on the channel, guys. You can find that on the how-to. I'll show you how to assemble that 271. There's actually one Andy traded in. Yeah, we don't want we don't want bare children in front of the camera, please. We live in the country, neighbors. It's hot out, and the kids are having fun in the water.
They're on the slip and slide over there, no clothes.
So what?
But anyhow, that particular saw, that was my first Christmas present, was that 271.
It was a present from him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he went and bought the other one for himself because it was a smaller, even lighter saw, and he wanted to keep that one right there just for if we got into bigger trees and everything.
Right.
So we took care of it, and we set it down. You know, we'd always keep it in the shop, covered up, and only you seen the size trees that we was over there cutting.
Yeah.
You know, and that's about the only time I break it out. But
Right.
I've never pulled a cord on them that I don't think about my daddy-in-law. I mean, I just
So what?
Kenneth Dawson. I mean,
What about him as the person and man? What is it that makes him so special of a person in your memory now that he's gone? That an item becomes important because it was his. What was in his character that you respected and admired so much?
Golly, mainly just because he was one of the type people, he did not want anybody to do nothing for him. If he was able, he was going to do it for
Stubborn.
himself. Yes, he was going to do it for himself. No joke. The day before when my daddy-in-law died, I can still see that man riding right across the top up there. He done got to where he couldn't walk at all. Riding across the top of my yard on a little scooter, eating an ice cream cone that he just asked my wife to go make him, going out there to check the cows.
Excellent. Wow.
I mean, he was just that. Like I said, I know y'all can't see it on the camera. Him and my daughter,
We can show you guys.
Him and my wife built that shop right there.
So, here's the shop Andy's talking about.
By himself. I mean, that house right there, he built that house by himself.
House, neighbors.
Yeah,
Here's the fatty buntings barking at everybody and
him
nobody.
and some friends. And it was awesome that they done it. That he was that way. And if I needed anything, he was going to help me. It's just,
So he was there for his neighbors.
he was always, golly, 1994, he wasn't here, but 1994 we had a really bad ice storm. I mean, we had like no electricity for like a month, no joke. And every neighbor that we had, I wish my wife was down here, she could tell you a whole lot more about this than me, but she'd tell you the character of her daddy. The people that lived over there on the hill, the people that lived right up here, and the lady that lived all the way back in the back here.
Oh, don't touch, sweetheart.
Hey, quit! Get out of here. Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry, y'all.
It's
but-
okay. They
Children,
know we're raw, real.
grandkids.
We're raw and real around here. We don't
Yeah.
edit this garbage out. This
Yeah.
is live.
But every one of them was on dialysis. And the only person sitting right out there in the field out there, he had a 1979 Ford Bronco. And he was the only person to get out and go get each one of these people, and we carry them to dialysis.
I'll be damned.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a good neighbor.
That's the type of neighbor he was. He got out and went and got everybody food when they needed food. If somebody called and said, you know, hey, we're out of milk. We don't have, we need some milk. We need some flour. Of course, 94 was a little bit different times than now, but
Yeah.
it wasn't a whole lot of
Yeah.
difference. But he was the guy. Because it just so happened my daddy-in-law and my mother-in-law was the youngest family on this road at that time. Everybody else was elder people. They couldn't take care of themselves. He got out and fed all these people's cows over there. He fed the people's cows up there so they wouldn't get out and fall on the ice. And stuff. I mean, he just always took care of them. And for me to sit down and hear the stories that my wife and my mother-in-law, told me, and they was telling me this stuff before he passed away. But that, and then I could just see it. Somebody would pull up here because that was his shop right there at one time. He made a living out of that shop working on cars, way more than one time.
You hear that, guys? He worked with his hands too.
Yes.
Mechanically.
Yes.
Hey, Joel.
He could do anything.
Stop it.
The most amazing thing about this man, y'all,
Come.
he had no education whatsoever. This man couldn't no more read and write than a man on the moon. But you could give him a set of blueprints, and he could build you anything. If you gave him a set of blueprints, he could look at them blueprints and build whatever you wanted.
You see, neighbors, that's why we need to get our children out of the filthy, vile, disgusting public school system and be able to teach them at home without going to prison because of child abuse.
Right.
You don't need school. You need people to teach you. You need to learn books. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with school. But my father's the same way. He doesn't have a high school education, yet he makes killer money, and he's really smart with certain things.
Absolutely. Well, my children walk around here, I may go to prison. My grandchildren stuff, they walk around here, I may go to prison, but they homeschool.
That's right.
That's what they're doing.
That's the way to do
They're
it.
homeschooled, and each one of them gets taught a Bible verse every day in their school, Christian-based homeschool.
You see this dog I have to deal with, neighbors? Come here.
But
take it down now.
He was an amazing
Stay.
man. I mean, I'm not trying to paint too big of a picture on it.
Right.
Everybody has their faults, but
Right.
as far as a heart, he had a heart as big as any one nice person you could ever meet. And like I said, this thing was just his pride and joy, and I just, every time I touch it, every time I pick it up, he's who I think of.
Whoa.
And to sit there and watch that man, when I first met him, could sit there and handle that doggone saw like me and you handling a 271.
Angel. Throwing that, yeah, I see guys, big guys, like I sold a 266, which is very similar setup to your saw, just not quite as powerful, but strong compression. And he's a big guy, you know, and he throws that saw around, and I struggle with it because, you know, I'm gimp. But
right.
So neighbors, we could sit here and argue whether we should get attached to materialistic things or not. Different people have different beliefs. Different belief people have different feelings. Andy is a church neighbor. You guys know what I mean by church neighbors. That's Jesus professing neighbors. But most of my church neighbors are shitty. You see, Andy's like me. He doesn't have time to go find Jesus in a building. He doesn't have time to go to a business called the church. You see, he has church teaching his children Bible verses and different things. And he's a church neighbor. You see, a lot of our church neighbors, the way I use my mouth, Angel, down now. Excuse me, neighbor. You better not move again. The way I use my mouth and say certain words, the man allows me to. And he doesn't say, oh, you're a blasphemer, blah, 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 blah. He might say, well, you know, hey, that might not be the greatest behavior, but he doesn't tell me, you're going to hell, you need to change your behavior. He just calls my shitty character out, and that's all we're supposed to do. You don't change somebody's shitty character, you just call it out. And the problem is, though, most people can't receive that. And so that is the change I suggest, because the thing is, then if we continue to chit on each other in this world, we miss the blessings of having neighbors like this. What was your father-in-law's name again?
Kenneth Dawson.
So Kenneth Dawson, what a name. What a strong name too. So it's like Kenneth, okay, if you're not kind to your neighbor, if you're not nice to your neighbor, and if we don't hold each other accountable, good character like that will cease to exist in the world. And with that being said, neighbors, it's about to pour rain. So we'd like to thank Andy for his time, and stay tuned, because I'm going to bring you the whole work on this saw as best I can with time and technology constraints.
Absolutely.
Any closing thoughts before it rains on us?
Nope. Have a good day. God bless you all. Like you said, hit the like button, smash that bell.
Excellent.
Have a good day.
Be kind to one another. Everyone's facing a battle, and we love all 8 billion of you, even though we suck at it. But we hate your chitty character, and we hate our chitty character.
Yeah. Just remember, Jesus is in your heart, not in the building.
That's right. Amen to that.
Amen.
All right. We'll see you next time, neighbors. Excellent.
Matt.
Matthew.
Roll your windows up, Bubba.
Yeah, Matthew. Don't call me Matt. You know better.
No, this is Matt.
Oh. Another Matt.
Yep.
Is this your son too?
My son-in-law.
Son-in-law. So you have a son named Matt,
Yeah.
and then a son-in-law named Matt.
And then another son-in-law named Matt.
Wow, I'm Matthew.
Oh yeah.
Nice to meet
Wow.
you. Yeah, I like to go by Matthew.
Did you? Are you?
No, I'm watching.
Oh, okay.